Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sonic Comic Chaos? Question mark? Ian, no, okay, so I gotta tell you all the story. Okay, so I've mentioned on previous episodes, I'm not really on Twitter anymore. I've talked to you about this in private, Ian. I just for my mental health, I've accepted Twitter as like a void that I can shout into. But I don't scroll anymore. It just wasn't doing good things for my mental health, right? So, but I opened up Twitter a couple days ago. I think I wanted to look at something I had bookmarked a while back or something. I don't exactly remember. And it opens up onto my For You page. And what do I see? But my good friend Ian Waffles has tweeted out a picture, but not just any picture, a very distinct picture that I recognized instantly. And so I rush over to the DMs and I message you and I type up a message frantically and I'm like, all it says is the Lar-Su Chronicles out?
With Jubilee in his cyber text. He says, "Is it out?" To which I replied, "Oh yes."
It sure is. And so now we're here to talk about it. I guess you know what, Ian, for those not in the know, because we've talked about this on the show before, but I'm sure there's plenty of people who don't know. I don't know what I'm going to title this, but it'll probably be something like Ken Penders does it again or something like that. So for the audience, for the people at home, for our lovely, lovely listeners, what is the Lar-Su Chronicles?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. So for those who don't know, the Archie Sonic comic, obviously it was ended in 2017. It got canceled. But in that comic, there were two universes. There was the pre-reboot universe and the rebooted universe. Well, why did it have to reboot? Well, because during around, I think, 2014, or a little bit. So when Sonic Chronicles Dark Brotherhood came out, that video game made by Sega had a lot of ideas that seemed pretty similar to some of the concepts created by Ken Penders for the Knuckles series. And we know that they definitely were taking inspiration for these things because they had literally SWAT bots in the game. And there's even a video that recently someone pointed out. There's a video where it's behind the scenes and they show oh yeah, we wanted to pull from all kinds of Sonic media. So and they even show some Sonic the Hedgehog comics. So clearly they were inspired by the franchise that they're making a game for. So these people, they make something called the Dark Brotherhood, and they make a technologically advanced civilization of echidnas, and blah-de-blah-de-blah. Now, this was very similar to a lot of the concepts that Ken Penders had created for the Sonic comics, and he was like, hey, yo, where's my money? And rightfully, everyone on the project was like, what are you talking about? It's owned by Sega, idiot. That's how making things for a corporation works. You sign away that this goes to them. And he looked at them in the metaphorical eyes and he said, I didn't sign a work for hire contract. And so this created a lawsuit. And eventually the two sides settled out of court. It's a lot crazier. You can find a lot of videos discussing the insanity by which this happened. But in the end, they settled out of court. And so Ken Penders got the legal right to not only reprint his stories, so reprint stories with Sonic and Knuckles and all these things, anything he had worked on with the Archie Sonic comic, but also he can continue his storylines with the characters he created as long as, then he doesn't use Knuckles or Sonic or whatever. And he can continue to tell those stories and make money off of it. And this was over a decade ago that he got this ability. And for years and years, people have been memeing on him because he wants to tell a story about the Lar-Su Chronicles, the daughter of Knuckles, or now as he's referred to as K-Nox. Ooh. So people memed on him. They said it would never happen. I said it would never happen, and here we are to this day. He finally releases the Lar-Su Chronicles Beginnings, which has a reprinting of all of 25 years later, which we've covered on this channel. But also it contains 30 new pages of the Lar-Su Chronicles that he created. And we are now witnessing history in the making. According to Ken, this story is going to reshape how you see the world by the end of it. And I am so hyped to be a part of history in the making. Holy shit, what the fuck? It's bad.
It's not good. It's not good. Yeah, no, I mean, here's the thing. I never thought it would happen. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
He's been talking about it for over a decade.
And by the way, and reminder, again, half of this thing that he made is just reprinting old comics. He's not even making new things.
Well, yeah. Well, we'll get there because let's just say the 30 or so pages are very dense. So,
Definitely.
but
But anyway, regardless, we're here to talk about that because this is insane and that this is real. And
Oh, yeah.
also, to spread the word about it, because the funniest thing I think to come out of this is that everyone was always like, whenever he was, because he was documenting his entire process of this, and he would be like, oh, I've got like 6 pallets worth of books and blah blah blah, and they're coming in, it's all hardback and I'm paying for it and blah blah blah, and everyone was just like memeing on him like, this fucking idiot, like no one's gonna buy this, blah blah blah, not realizing that no, it's not that he hasn't been doing anything for 13 years. What he has been doing for 13 years is guaranteeing meme customers, because this book is taking off. He himself is shocked how well it's doing, because of course people want to read Ken Penders' Wild Adventure, because like it's not like digitally online or anything yet. So like people are reading it, people are buying it, people are getting it. My name is in the credits of history in this book because I pre-ordered it. I needed to know. And so the fact that he is making bank off this and no one can stop him, Sega, corporations won't stop him. He's a madman. And so we have to read it.
Wait, are you serious? This is doing well?
It's doing extremely well. If you go on his Twitter, all his updates are just like, so I just went to the post office and shipped 100 new packages, and while I was there, I got 20 new ones in the mail. Holy shit. Like that's okay. Like he's doing incredibly well.
Okay, I'm looking this up. Hold on. Update, the title says it all. I'm asking people to have patience as I prepare orders for shipment. Okay, we're just gonna read a couple of these. This is great. Even on his worst day, Joe Biden is not that one. I'm asking for people.
Joe Biden would never read the Lar-Su Chronicles.
Oh, jeez. I'm at the post office watching as the clerk is entering my packages with the system. I have now shipped over 100 orders. While doing so, over 20 more orders have been placed. Considering we're not talking about a $5 comic book, I'm in awe.
Yeah, and then there's like a few others where like there's one where he's like, oh yeah, like I just got done like staying up till 2 a.m. making things. I'm gonna do breakfast, but while I'm typing this, I got 2 more orders, and also he says like they're doing gangbusters, and he goes, I haven't been advertising, so these people must be telling their friends. Like he is shocked.
Oh god, wait, there's a couple. Okay, I really love my detractors. Seriously, they're only making more people aware I'm still around and boosting sales for me. One request, guys, please share the wealth and buy the works of other comics creators as well.
What a fucking badass. He's like, guys, I'm counting my fat stacks, and like I'm good, bro. If you could like take your pathetic hater energy and like pay other people to make work, that would be great. But thanks for all the money,
dude. This is kind of Chad behavior. I can't lie. Like
it's pretty great.
But no. So ultimately, okay. So we should probably read the comic at some point. Here's what I suggest we do. I think we talk about the stories individually, but we don't go scene by scene, so I can preserve my sanity. Because there's 3 stories, 4 stories in here.
Oh yeah, well, and the great thing is that Big Ken, he hasn't aged out of his iconic writing style of nothing fucking happening. So this will actually be quite a short video because while we get like a lot of pages, like I was shocked. I really thought like it was going to be like, oh, here's like 6 pages of the Lar-Su Chronicles, maybe something will happen. But no, not only are there like 3 stories, but there's like pages and pages of data files that go over like everything about the characters. And yeah, so, but like, and nothing is ever said. So
yeah,
because it's Ken Penders. So let's do it.
But again, that's the thing. Nothing is said, but so much is said.
And that's what art is. So
of course. But yeah, so we begin with the storm. So everyone, again, like we said, this story is called the Lar-Su Chronicles. Lar-Su is Ken Penders' baby. Yeah, that is, he wants to tell the story of Lar-Su, taking up the mantle of her father and being a cool badass, a kid and a warrior. So Ian, how do we start in the first story ever of the Lar-Su Chronicles, the storm? How do we start?
It's not about how we start. It's about who we see, because the first thing we see is, holy shit, he's alive. It's the one, the only Jeffrey St. John. Ah! And I love too, by the way, that because like he's been showing like panels of like some of this stuff for years. You can tell this is one of the earliest one he did because the first page, Jeffrey actually looks like he like could maybe be from the Sonic comic, and then he just evolves into the gross, hideous monstrosity that is Ken's current art style.
Yeah, literally on the second page, you can see it, like from top. Look at him on the top of the page and look at him at the bottom of the page. Like,
Yeah.
also, hideous. What happens to this woman's face?
She's a dog.
But okay, but she goes from a dog to like not a dog, and what?
That's the beauty of being a dog person. I don't
guess.
know.
So okay, so Ian, okay.
I was gonna say, do you have no clue what's happening in the story? Because I can explain it.
Okay, how about I try and guess what's happening, and then you explain it. Okay, so also what's so funny, right, is so you all may recall if you've been listening to the show for a while that Sonic 25 years later, the original one by Ken Penders, broke me. I lost my mind.
Indeed.
Because the ending is nothing. It's they put Sonic in a tube and they vaporize him, and then the world gets all shaky, and then they're like, oh no, and then it has a weird ubiquitous ending. And so I was like, what the fuck is this? And you, Ian, at the time said, well, don't worry, Ace, you silly Billy. They'll answer this in the Lar-Su Chronicles.
Yep.
And so I was like, and so going into this, I was intrigued. I was like, okay, because you all remember in that episode, I was like, what was the plan? What was Ken thinking? What is happening here? This is nonsense. Like, surely he must have been thinking of something, right? And, well, you all can be the judge of that. So, in this story, The Storm, starring Jeffrey St. John and Dog.
The Bounty Hunter.
Yeah, so we see that, okay, so you all may recall that the reason shit was fucked in 25 years later is that there were these storms that were going to destroy Mobius because there were 3 events, all of which were caused by Sonic or Sonic was involved in, that destabilized reality. And so they had to go back in time to fix it. So Jeffrey is looking at what I assume is the storm, hence the title The Storm, that is being caused. And he's told by some fucking characters that
that's Remington, you slut. All right.
Yeah. What the fuck? What did you just Jesus Christ. So he's looking at it, he's like, and then someone is like, yeah, so his time is being rewritten and people's DNA is being rewritten for some reason. There's someone's brain is open and then reality shifts. I think, is there a big light? No, there's not. But yeah, he's just like, and they're looking for, what is it called? What do they call Knuckles? The prey.
He's the Praetorian.
Yeah, he's the Praetorian, or is it Knox or Knox? I read the K is silent.
So people have been saying like Canucks or whatever, but like he's clarified multiple times on Twitter. It is K Knox.
That's awesome. I love that.
And I love that.
But yeah, so I guess nothing happens actually. Now that I'm looking back, like kind of nothing happened. Jeffrey looks at some lightning and he's like, that shit's weird.
Yeah, the whole scene is just, well, I want to remind so there's a moment where like you're introduced to this dog person and like this is just very Jeffrey, where he's like, haha, lol, but like, who are you working for, bitch? And she's like, I just work here, sir. And then he pulls a gun on her.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like what the story boils down to is, one, we're learning about like, oh, like there's because like the way Ken is gonna like explain what happened at the end of 25 years later is that there was a breach in the time stream or whatever, everything got fucked up, and now we're in a new timeline, right? And but then like, oh, there's like some memories of the previous timeline, which is obviously like expressed to like the guy who has like the dual memories. But the biggest thing is basically, it's just like, this is where it feels very Ken Penders and how he writes, is like the intrigue you're supposed to get is that the whole story is just like Jeffrey being like, I know they're spying on us, because he works for like Sally and them, but it's just called the Kingdom of Acorn. So he's like, I know they're spying on the Kingdom of Acorn. And then it's like, are you spying on me, Remington? He's like, well, if we were spying, we definitely wouldn't make that known. And that doesn't mean we're spying. Now, are you trying to spy on us? Now, that would be something that's classified for the Kingdom of Acorn, I'll have you know. well, Jeffrey, I know you, and I know you, Remington. Well, if we were going to spy, and I'm not saying we were going to spy, we'd be spying pretty good. And then they hang up, and they go, wow, they know we're trying to spy. And that's the story.
So, okay, but this is already in the new timeline. This story, right? Or is
yeah,
it?
I believe so.
Okay. Well, but this because the storm is still happening. Fuck it. So the Kingdom of Acorn still exists.
Yes.
So that means that like, just off in a corner, there's like, so like Sally at the very least, presumably. No, they call her Alicia. They say Queen Alicia at some point, right?
Well, that's her mom, but it is supposed to be implied that Sally exists because did you read any of the character bios?
Oh, I read all of them except Remington's because I couldn't be fucked.
Okay, because Jeffrey's bio has a whole section dedicated to how he really wanted to fuck the Acorn Princess, but there was a blue spiky random creature that's not a hedgehog and not named Sonic, and he really liked the princess, and Jeffrey thought this was really cute, but the Acorn Princess would have been one of his many conquests, if you know what I'm saying.
I cannot fucking believe that. Like what like yeah, Bentley said it better than I ever could. Like I like I just at no point does anyone did he have anyone proofread that and go like, maybe this is in poor taste, Ken? Like
I don't think he has an editor. I think he edits life.
I doubt he has an editor, but couldn't he have like his partner, or does he I'm sure he has children. Did he not show this to anyone before he published it? Like
I am certain that Ken surrounds himself with people who see the vision.
Fair enough.
But no, yeah. So that's it for Jeffrey. Yeah, but yeah, the first thing for the Lar-Su Chronicles is Jeffrey shows up and he goes, "Well, they're spying on us, mate." And then his bio is just him going like, yeah, Jeffrey's so fucking cool. He's in fact so cool that like we can't even go into how cool he is. And he fucks all the women. It's fucking great. And like that's literally in the story. And for people who don't know, so at one point Ken made a tweet where he says like, oh, the story I never got to tell in Sonic was the story about Jeffrey taking Sally's virginity. Jeffrey was a little too fast on the draw for that one. And people looked at that and they memed it for years. And my defense was always like, sure, I'm sure he did actually want to tell, like, I don't know, a story about sex or something. But he's hamming it up for, like, Twitter and just because he's an asshole, right? That's how he likes to be on Twitter. And he likes to be abrasive. But no, he fucking committed to it and put it in his book.
Yeah. My question has always been, like, how the fuck would he have told that story? Like, I want to see it, Like...
Yeah. Oh my gosh. But yeah, and then, okay, so the final thing, this is the insane part, right? So in that bio, apparently, because like the whole idea is that like everything from the Archie Sonic comic, like the 25 years later and stuff, that's all still canon, but it's just legally distinct canon where like he doesn't mention certain names. But like, I don't know how he can get away with this, where instead of Robotnik taking over, it's Kintobor took over. Doesn't Sega own that name?
That's a good question. I guess my thing is...
Isn't that from the Sonic Bible?
Well, is Kintobor a real name? Let me look it up.
It might be.
Does anyone have the name? The first thing that comes up when you type, does anyone have the name, is, does anyone have the name Hitler now? Kintobor. All right. Well, the first thing that comes up is Dr. Ivo Kintobor, so that's not a good sign. Dr. Kintobor, Snively Robotnik, Hope Kintobor. Okay, fuck, I don't know. I mean, he did somehow. He got it somehow.
Regardless, it's ridiculous and just the balls on this man. But the biggest one that's so funny is that he didn't, because you might not even catch it, he didn't actually change Knuckles' name to Kanox. He's still named Knuckles in this universe. Because if you go to Lar-Su's like character bio, it says like her father and it says Kanox, and you go, okay. And then it says it's a nickname on account of his protruding like Knuckles or whatever. So like his name is still Knuckles, but everyone just calls him by his nickname in this universe. He did not actually rename him.
Oh, that's fucking awesome.
What a badass. Holy shit. What a big middle finger.
That's amazing. I love that. I love this man. The more I hear about him, the more... All right, wait. Knox, aka by nickname acquired as a young lad due to the unusual bone structure of his hands, aka the Praetorian. That's fucking great. Did you see the part in Jeffrey's bio where it goes number of confirmed kills classified?
Classified. Eli is like, oh, he's so fucking cool. Yeah,
It's so cool, man.
ridiculous. All right, but that's the storm.
I
don't know. By the way, I don't know if you felt this because this is the biggest problem I have with pretty much all the stories. It gets a little better as it goes, but like the word bubble placement is awful.
Oh yeah, I felt like I was reading a manga for a lot of it.
Yeah, exactly. There are so many pages where it feels like it's like, am I supposed to be reading right to left? Because every panel will just start on like the top right, and it's like the structure he seems to be going by is like the highest one you read first, but like your eye doesn't immediately go to these things, so like you're constantly like jumping around, and you're like, did I read that right? It's awful. It's really bad. Like there's so many parts where it's like, am I insane? Like what are they talking about?
And then there's then Ken Penders has just like a half page where he's like, hey, you know what? I can't write about Knuckles. That's a shame. But I think it's also so funny how he literally says, I thus replaced Knuckles with Knox. Like I get that that's obvious, but just to say it, it's still pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Lars' path. I'm trying to remember if there's anything interesting in here. There's one part. Actually, there's one part that's really funny. Where when you're talking to someone about a movie, and you're like, "Oh, I can't believe Thanos dies right at the start of Avengers Endgame." And it's like, "Oh, that's not a spoiler. It happens right at the start." He does that in this with his own comic,
with his own story.
He says, "It's also a much larger degree coming to grips with the legacy she inherits." It's about. He says like it's about her dealing with the loss of her father and dealing with the legacy she inherits, and goes, and then in parentheses he goes, and no, I'm not really spoiling anything here, as our story opens with Lar-Su struggling with the loss.
It's like it's Ken, fine. Shut up.
It's right at the beginning.
Read your story.
I realized, so that's cool. And then we see Lar-Su, but Lar-Su looks a little different.
Yeah, she looks a lot more like a shaved ape.
Yeah.
And they all do. They all look freakish monsters.
Well, yes, but I meant because she's pink now. That was kind of what I was getting at. Like it's weird. Like it's weird, right? Like why did he do that? Is it just to distinguish like this Lar-Su from Archie Lar-Su? I mean, I guess it does do that.
Well, he does draw like red Lar-Su in the flashbacks to when he like remakes panels from 25 years later.
Right, but when I first saw Lara in this, I was like, oh, Julie Sue's in this. It's like, oh no, that's Lara.
Oh no, we see Julie Sue later. A lot of Julie Sue.
Oh, yep, yeah, yeah. So, oh god, this is great. So it's 2 pages of Julie Sue walking on a beach and being sad. And God, Knuckles looks so fucking funny on this page where she's got the bow. Okay, I guess we'll talk about. Okay, no, we see what happens to Knuckles later. So this is like a flash. This is like a. Okay,
flash
so this is
media res or whatever.
Yeah, this is like a. Hey, yeah, that's me. You're probably wondering how I got here. Well, it's a funny.
Probably wondering why I look this way. That will not be discussed. But
did she? Hold on a second. Did Ken Penders just throw a filter over an actual picture of a beach?
Oh, there's a lot of real life locations.
Oh god,
he loves doing that.
Yeah, but so, and then we just cut to this guy.
We cut to Anthony Mackie.
It's just this man, just this normal man.
Yeah.
It's just
which, by the way, that is Anthony Mackie that he just stole the face of.
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And people called him out on it, and his response was, well, I didn't want him to look like a generic black guy. What does it mean?
What is that? What? That's amazing. But no, when I got to this page, legit, I just burst into laughter because he's just staring at you too. Is the funny thing?
Yeah. He's got a whole character bio, and his character bio is just he's just like a cool soldier. He's got 2 daughters. Back home. Here's their names. I was like, what the? Who are you?
Yeah, he's just some guy. It's great. But yeah, so he arrives somewhere. Wow, these are just pictures. There's just pictures in the background.
Yep.
Holy fucking shit. How? This is not okay.
He's using mixed media.
He spent 11 years on this. Okay.
Look, Photoshop takes a lot of time.
Anyway, so this guy, so fucking Anthony Mackie, the Falcon, shows up on like an asteroid or something. He's Ian. Ian, you tell me what happens. I don't.
And basically, he just finds a message from Lar-Su, being like, "I am Lar-Su. You're probably wondering how I got in this scenario." And she tells the new updated timeline version of the end of 25 years later. Because if you remember, at the end of 25 years later, Sonic, Knuckles, Rotor, and Kobor, they all go to the Tachyon time chamber on like this irradiated like asteroid planet or whatever. And they go inside, and that's when Sonic gets like blipped out of reality. So in this version of events, it is Lar-Su, her dad, and then Rotor, or Kobor, and then also instead of Rotor, it's this Rhino guy.
I see.
And so in this version of events, they're like, we got to go out, we got to be the Guardian, and then off screen, because it's just like, so I want to remind you, by the way, so like the end of like 25 years later, it was like, I'm gonna be a better dad, I'm gonna tell Lar-Su, and like, you know, in Ken's older works, like some of the things I liked was like his old manisms. I liked how he would have like goofy little non sequiturs or one liners. So what is Knuckles' final words to his daughter? Because like he basically like disappears off screen or something, and we got to find him. His final words are like deal with it, open the hatch.
Well, we're not quite there yet. Because I think one of the funniest things is that, so she tells her backstory, and she's like, yeah, I used to be, so there used to be this other timeline. We see like old timeline Lar-Su. I mean, she looks weird. She looks really weird. Like what the fuck is up with her face in this bottom left panel where Julie is,
she just always looks hideous. I don't know what's with his art style. So we see a couple select scenes ripped straight from 25 years later, but like redrawn.
Come again?
Redrawn by Ken.
Yeah, redrawn. Including where Knuckles goes, there's an ancient echidna custom I'd like to bring back. It's called a spanking.
A spanking. It's like, Ken, you chose to bring that back. Why? Why is this the moment that you're like, you know what, I need to remind the audience of? The iconic Knuckles line about spanking his daughter. Let's fucking go. It's like
and so then we see the timeline shift over to the new history. And you know what? To Ken's credit, there's an interesting like mirroring he does here, where it's like, you know, Julie and Lara and her and her dad. But Ian, can you explain to the audience what scene he uses to show the blurring between the two timelines?
Well, if it's the one I think. So, you know, he wants to show the bond between, you know, Caotix and his family. And the way he does this is a naked Knuckles with his giant humanoid muscular body with, you know, every ab, every butt muscle being perfectly drawn and symmetrical. And he is naked because he doesn't have shoes, except he does have his big boxing gloves. And in his lap is his naked wife, watching their naked daughter play in the trees.
Yep. And then
what is happening?
Yep. Oh, it gets better. So then they're like, I guess I'm gonna regret saying this. This does not make sense. What you just described does not make sense. What happens next? We see the point where the timelines like blur into one another is the birth of Lar-Su. We see the birth of Lar-Su from the previous timeline, and then it bleeds into the birth of Lar-Su in the new timeline, where the colors, like Julie Sue and Lara's colors, are flipped. Knuckles is still there. He just looks. I mean, for the previous timeline, he just drew Knuckles. Like that's just Knuckles. But
and
in the
do we see it?
But the new timeline, it's he's got like his robot eye. He's got like a goatee and like a weird tuft of hair on his head. But when depicting the birth of Lar-Su, they
they go natural, baby.
Yeah. So we see Julie Sue's nipples.
Yes.
And we see
high quality.
Yep, and we see the baby Lar-Su breastfeeding shortly after being born, I guess. Which is that you know what? We don't need to get into that. We don't need to get into the science of how long after birth breastfeeding takes. I don't want to know right now. I don't want to talk about that on my Sonic podcast. But and look, and I guess we could just say now, this isn't the last time we see breastfeeding in this comic, because it's on Julie Sue's is it Julie character bio. It shows her
breastfeeding again.
Yeah, fully naked, breastfeeding baby Lar-Su.
Yep.
And look, look, okay. You know, the breastfeeding, it's a completely natural thing. You know, the idea of like breastfeeding in public is a thing that gets like discussed a lot. You know, it's a completely natural thing. You know, there's nothing wrong with it. But it's really weird to insist upon it so much in your Sonic the Hedgehog spin-off comic.
It's a deeply human moment, all right? That's what he said. He's like, when I was drawing the scene, you know, I was thinking of all like the mothers who have to like cover up in public and not, you know, be like, they have to like basically like smother their baby, because this happens, or it's like, you know, they don't want to weird anyone out, but it's like, oh, like the baby has to breastfeed or whatever, so they have to like cover it up. And he's like, this was for all the mothers out there to show like solidarity, like, you know, this is a natural, beautiful thing and it needs to be shown to the world. And as I was drawing this, like, I was thinking of those things. It's like, Ken, you're a funny guy.
Dude, I just but yeah, so yeah, so then the timelines merge, and then we see Kobar, and Kobar looks evil as fuck here. Wait, wasn't Kobar Rotor's husband?
Yes, so that's why there's like a rhino guy instead, because we can't have Rotor.
Okay.
And there's like a shot too where like Kobar's like poisoned and dying. He's like laying in the rhino man's lap, like all like luxuriously, and he's like, please don't die, anyone but you. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's probably the replacement.
Yeah. But so then we see, I assume this is, so okay, so we're in the new timeline at this point, okay. So is it that this scene starts in the old timeline where Lar-Su is stowing away on the ship while they go to fix the storm, and then this weird distortion effect in the middle of the page is it switching over to the new one where she's on like this mission?
Yeah, now it's like, this is how it happened in this timeline. Like, there's no Sonic, there's no Rotor. It's like they go to like check it out, you know?
Yeah. So, yeah, they get here, and man, I guess we know that Ken's an ass guy. Well, you know, I guess I don't know that actually, based on other things in this book. But he sure does like drawing Lar-Su's ass. So, yep. But anyway,
yeah, so to describe it, the way it works is that on this like alien spaceship, the way you control it is like there's like a plank that you sit on, and like you like basically control it by laying on your stomach. And so it's like, yeah, like this is just how it works, guys. And so here's a top-down view, so you can see all of it. God. And it's like, oh my, okay. But yeah, also again, a reminder, when they get to this place, yeah, like they go to leave, and it's like, oh, this is the final scene with Lara and her dad. You know, what's their final conversation gonna be? And she's like, oh, like, are you gonna like leave, Dad? It's like, and he goes, yeah, that's how it works. Deal with it. Open the hatch. And it's like, there you go. That's their final meeting.
Yeah, that's so all that shit about him being a better dad than fucking Locke. I guess that
yeah. Well, you know, just like Locke, he fucks off, and you know what? It would be incredible if we find out that, like, because like, so later we see Knuckles again, and he's like a giant hologram in the sky, and he's like, Lar-Su. Wouldn't it be incredible if he actually did fake his death like Locke, and he starts doing the thing like in the miniseries where he's watching Knuckles as like a space ghost or whatever. He's like, come on, my son, go to the oasis in the desert. And he just does the same thing.
God, I hope that's what it is.
He didn't learn anything. He was like, you know what? Like, that'll be the holy shit. I could totally see that. That'll be the twist. Is like, oh, Lar-Su, this is about you. Your dad died. And then like the twist is gonna be that like Knuckles is like, yeah, the everything's going pretty well. I think I'm gonna pretend to die. That'll help my daughter grow and be a better guardian.
That's, oh God, I hope that's what it is. God, I hope that's what it is. We'll find out in 10 more years when he releases the next chapter.
Absolutely.
But Then Lara says "fark" because the mission goes wrong.
Fuck.
Yeah. But so then there's this really weird scene where I think it's Rhino Guy and Kobor. And he's like, Lar-Su, can you let us in? We're dying
And
out
she's
here.
like, but where's my dad? And he's like, I will tell you that, but like we're dying, please. And he's like,
Yeah.
okay, but like where's my dad? Lara, please.
Yeah. And he's like, and she's like, oh, well, you have radiation all over you. Because that's how that works. You just get radiation. It's like body odor, it just builds up on you.
Yeah.
And he's like, I can't let you in. And he goes like, well, can you at least let us in the airlock? And he's like, oh, yeah. She's like, I guess, but first, like, what happened to my dad? And he's like, just let us in the fucking ship. My husband is dying here. What are you doing? Yeah, but so then, so the ship. Okay, so wait, the ship is called the Praetorian One, and Knuckles is the Praetorian.
I guess so.
Really confusing.
Yeah.
And also, I think, holy shit, I think Ken just used like the same PNG of a lightning bolt twice on this page. I cannot believe that he just used pictures. That's fucking amazing. Like, but yeah, so then Anthony Mackie is looking at the thing still, and then, oh god, this page is a clusterfuck. All right, hold on. Ian, what's okay, so then
the final spread is basically just is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, the final spread is basically just like a bunch of random events of like, here's what's coming up next. And it's just like a bunch of different scenes of like things we're to expect. So there's like Leonda there, and she's like, we're gonna do something about these darn echidnas. And then like you have like the Cyber Dark. So they're not called like the Dark Legion anymore. They're called like the Cyber Dark Faction Legion or something like that.
Yeah.
So like they're doing stuff, and then there's like Lara with like Remington, I think. And it's like, your father was very special, but you're even more special. So just stuff like that. It's just basically just like a, previewing all the cool events that are coming.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, and Lara's gonna fight some guy for the role of Guardian. There's some scantily clad echidna woman. Oh, fun stuff. Some guy says bollocks. Yeah, okay. So this is like a preview page. That makes way more sense. I was very confused about everything that was happening here. And I think that's it in terms of like comic. It's just like the character bios.
We kind of went over any of the interesting stuff for the character bios.
Let me look to make sure, because I didn't take notes really when I was reading this, but I wrote a couple things down. Okay, so they say Leonda is the I think it's Leonda. They say that she's the distant cousin of Knuckles. It's like, stop reminding people that Julie Sue and Knuckles are related.
They're all related.
No, I only had 3 notes for this. And then they're okay. At one point in Julie Sue's bio, they say something to the effect of like, oh, she's in this new timeline, but she remembers the old timeline. And like, Julie Sue, I meant Lar-Su. Like, can she prevent? They say something like, can she prevent the timeline from like settling or locking or something? It's like, what the fuck? What the fuck are you talking about? Like,
Ken, you can't go back.
You can't go back. So what is the? Yeah, like exactly. Like, it was not until her 16th birthday that she experienced glimpses of these events. These events, I think, being the previous timeline, and it remains to be seen whether she's the only one experiencing these glimpses. To say nothing of being able to piece the puzzle together before the ultimate disruption occurs, locking in the changes to the space-time continuum permanently. What? So, like you said, Ian, you can't go back. You can't fix it. So what is the plan? Like, so is the... Oh my god, how fucking funny would it be if this whole thing ends in 50 years with Lar-Su, she fixes the timeline, it gets set back to normal, and it ends with her like walking up to Castle Acorn. She pushes open the door, and she's like, "Oh, hey guys," and then the book ends. Like,
It's just a time loop.
She's just
nothing that mattered.
Yeah, no. So she just goes back, like Sonic and Sally and all them. They're there. You don't get to see them, but like they're there. And like that's, and so Ken is just like, "Fuck you, I win." Like, that's just.
Oh my gosh.
But
he would do that.
That would be so fucking funny, dude. This was awesome. I love this. This is great.
I would say you really do have to like see the art to believe like how hideous it looks. The characters are just so uncanny. There's just so many like wasted space. But then like you look at the lighting and you look at the backgrounds and like when he actually like is doing them, and it looks really good. Like the lighting and like the shading's really nice.
Okay,
you know?
that's the thing. That's the thing I want to say is, so obviously the art is ugly, right? Like, or at least the characters are ugly. We can talk about, but is the art bad? I don't know.
It's fascinating for sure.
It's fascinating. I mean, here's the thing: the parts where it's just pictures being traced over, that's definitely not great. But I don't know, man. This is just this was a trip.
It's real.
It's real. It exists.
Part.
I will also say, for all the shit that we gave it, and for as weird and off-putting as it is, it did almost feel like old Archie Sonic.
Yeah.
Like it felt like visiting an old friend. and then you realize why they're an old friend. But it was like there was something oddly nostalgic about it. Ian, I am not crazy. Don't laugh at me.
I'm glad you had a good time. I'm glad you loved it.
Don't you fucking put words in my mouth.
Yeah. No, man. I mean, it just is crazy that it exists. Here's the thing. I actually do think that he is going to probably continue making these a lot faster. So if you don't know, the actual reason I think he's talked about a few times, one of the big reasons he took so long is, one, he had to like get in contact with a lot of people so that he could do the reprints. Because apparently he was making dealings with like pretty much anyone who worked on 25 Years Later to try to make sure that they were like properly compensated if they wanted to be like included or whatever. Because obviously he may have wrote those stories, but he didn't draw them. He didn't, edit them. He didn't do all that stuff. He didn't pencil and ink them. So like he was apparently like doing a lot of stuff with that, getting that figured out. But the biggest reason it took so long is that if since the lawsuit wasn't actually like a legally defining thing, it was settled out of court. Technically, if Sega wanted to, they could like try to sue him again, right? And so the whole idea is that he waited so long because he wanted basically like to kind of show that he was making these things, making updates. This is also why he made the NFTs, but he never actually did anything with them. Is that he wanted to basically like slowly make things that like hold out like a long enough time that if Sega were to come at him now, after it's been like 10 years, he could then say, well, I've been working on this for 10 years and you didn't say anything, but now you want to have a problem with it when I'm making money and you want a piece of that pie. And now he can use that to like defend himself if need be, right? And I'm sure other like life things probably got in the way or whatever. But But yeah, so that's one of the big reasons it's taken so long. And then obviously you could say like, well, when I was making NFTs, you didn't have any problems with that. But now that I'm making a comic, you have a problem. It's like, we settled it with this, that kind of stuff. So who knows how legally all that shakes out or whatever. But I think like, regardless of like the Lar-Su Chronicles being a thing, I think now he is probably going to push forward and make this a lot faster. But also it just really is insane because I have this on my shelf right now. I have the Lar-Su Chronicles and I can open it up. And now all of 25 years later, for the first time, is like back to back in like a hardback cover. And like the coloring's gorgeous. Like whatever he used for the printer and the glossy paper, it looks great. So like I have like in 2024 official Archie Sonic like collection. And he's keeping Archie Sonic alive in that way. Now, obviously, it's Ken, so he had to make a tweet where he goes, I've heard people say that in a lot of ways I'm keeping Archie Sonic alive, but I really like to look at it as I'm keeping my stories alive. But it's like, okay, Ken. Well,
yeah, I saw that tweet when I was scrolling his Twitter. I was like, we're being nice to him now. Well, I won't read that one.
But yeah, so, Ken's gonna Ken. But at the end of the day, I actually am really happy that this is a success for him. If he was going to become the main villain, at least I want it to be successful so that like it actually works out in the end. Because if like he didn't get anything out of it, it's like, wow, it's just double annoying. But like I got like because of this dumb fucking lawsuit, at the very least, I got a hilarious Lar-Su story and I got a collection of 25 Years Later, which no one was ever going to make. And like the craziest part is he didn't edit out Sonic or Knuckles or any of the characters. He didn't have to rewrite dialogue. He didn't like change their names. He didn't like draw over them. He reprinted Sonic the Hedgehog media and Sega can't do shit about it. Like that's crazy.
It's pretty awesome.
That's crazy. So, And it's 25 years later, like the most non-Sonic story ever. And yet you have Sonic in there being like, yeah, I don't know. I just don't know how it's like to be a king. And he's talking to his son named Manic and Sonia, who are like clones of him and stuff. And he's dunking on children and stuff. Like, it's crazy. And so now I have all that in a book. It's even funnier too. He didn't delete the editor's notes. So like you'll read it. And there's a part where it says like, oh, like Sonic, you're the one who caused all this. And there's a part where the editors are like, this happened in this issue and this issue. And he kept those in. Ken, wait, why did you keep those in? Nobody can find those.
Yeah, I respect it. Like, well, what's even funnier is in the character bios. Like, it says, like, Lar-Su first appeared in Sonic the Hedgehog number 106. Like,
it's crazy. So all of this is just insane. And I would think so. We'll probably leave a link in the description so you could buy it yourself if you want. Because why not get in on the action, guys? Because this is crazy. And again, if you like 25 years later, if you like Archie Sonic, you can now have a hardback cover of that. And you can also have a hardback cover of this fucking insanity. Because, who knows? Maybe Sega will do something right. And this will become like a rare illegal item, basically. Obviously, you wouldn't get in trouble for buying it. But like, it's like this couldn't exist, but you would have it. So, get it, guys. It's actually pretty reasonable.
I would buy it, but I'm gonna be moving soon. I don't need more shit that I gotta like deal with. So I'm just gonna, so we can just go with the
completely
legitimate ways in which you shared your copy with me.
Absolutely.
Anyway,
sitting, in bed together, we snuggled up.
All right. Sure. You know what? Sure.
We can add that. We ate popcorn, and it was totally legal. Anyway.
But yeah, so I don't know. This is cool. I guess we'll definitely, if more comes out, we'll cover it. We can't not, Yeah. So you know what the funniest part of this is?
What's that?
I've already recorded the gameplay that's going to go behind this episode. And I was like, surely someone's made like a Julie Sue or a Lar-Su mod for like some Sonic game. No.
Oh, nope. But they will now. History is being made.
I hope so. I'm sure there was for something. I didn't look that hard. So behind this, you will see footage from Sonic Frontiers of me playing with the Honey the Cat mod. So I was like, fuck it. I'll never get the chance. Yeah, I'll never get the chance to use that one either. So like, whatever. So that's funny. But anyway.
Oh, and I forgot to mention the last funny thing that makes this even crazier. So I don't know why this happened, but it did. Today, I go to work and I'm chilling out and I check my phone and I get a message. And the message says, Ken Penders has followed you.
Holy shit, what?
And I go, oh, this has got to be like a fake account. Because like there are people who will like masquerade as like, celebrities. And it's like, oh, you don't notice there's like a period in the name or something. And it's like you click on it, it's like, oh, it's just like it matches the entire account just so that they control people. So I click on it. All right, here we go. Haha. And there you go. Right there. It says Ken Penders follows you. And I am one of the 300 people that he is willing to follow on this platform. I am number 301, by the way. So Ken Penders follows me. So I tricked all of you. This was actually sponsored by Ken Penders. And I'm a fraud. I sold my soul and I work for my new overlord. So, that's all I had to say.
Dude, if Ken ever wants to come on the podcast, I will be more than happy.
I can now literally personally DM him.
But,
not that it matters because his emails are always open for people, but I just think it's very funny. I have no clue why he decided to follow me.
Dude.
Maybe it's because I gave him one piece of criticism that he actually believed in. Because like anytime anyone ever criticizes him, he just like ignores them. But I criticized his word bubble placement, and he was like, "Yeah, like the reason I did that was because like I was thinking of it in terms of how the app is going to work, and in the app the word bubbles will come in each time you click it, so therefore like I could place them anywhere. But I realized that like as it gets going, that can be really confusing, so I will work on that in the future." I was like, "Holy shit, who are you?"
Dude, I hope you know that was pure unfiltered excitement from me. When
I know. I didn't tell you on purpose.
That's awesome. Well, yeah. Join us next time when Ken Penders guest stars on Sonic Helmet Chaos.
Talk about Ian Flynn's run.
Do you ever get? I am terrified that anyone who has ever worked on these comics has ever listened to this podcast. But anyway. Next time we come back, we should be talking about House of Cards, unless some other fucking thing drops. Unless like Sonic Prime Season 4 fucking shadow drops or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, should be House of Cards. Should be a good time. I like that story. Ian likes that story. Oh fuck. Oh, it was a bad time.
I'm dying. Ken, why did you do it?
But yeah, like Ian, that's a good idea. There will be a link in the description if you want to purchase this. You know, it's always good to support artistry. Or go buy some other comics, like Ken said. I don't know.
Yeah,
support your local comic shop. But
he's counting his fat stacks. So if you want, go buy a comic today. That would be in Ken Penders' honor. There you go.
Yeah, but until then, Ian, plug your shit.
I'm Ian Waffles. You can find me on Twitter at Ian Waffles, and I'm on YouTube at Ian Waffles. But I don't do anything. Thank you for having me as usual.
You can find me here, and you can find me on Twitter at SilverAce01. Like I said, I don't really scroll Twitter anymore, but I use it as a void that I shout into. So if you want to like look at my 2024 media thread, I just updated that. That's pretty cool. But yeah, bye.
Bye.